All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION. On his very first full day at the White House, US President Joe Biden moved pretty swiftly to try and scale up in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, Joe Biden has unveiled a national strategy to combat the COVID-19 infections, reflecting the ideas that were set forward during his presidential campaign. Now, Biden has signed 10 virus-related executive orders. He's also announced steps to expand testing and vaccinations and increased mask wearing. Biden has called the plan comprehensive and based on science and not on politics. The plan starts with a pretty aggressive vaccination campaign to meet the goal of 100 million shots during Biden's first 100 days in the office. Despite the plan, Biden has warned that the crisis will actually get worse before it gets better.
Today, I am unveiling a national strategy on COVID-19 and executive actions to beat this pandemic. This plan reflects the ideas I set forward during the campaign and further refined over the past 3 months. It consists of my transitions teams, the task force, Tony Fauci and the team here today and other experts put this plan together. Our national strategy is comprehensive. It's based on science, not politics. It's based on truth, not denial, and it's detailed. We'll move heaven and earth to get more people vaccinated for free and create more places for them to get vaccinated, to mobilize more medical teams to get shots in people's arms, and to increase vaccine supply and get it out the door as fast as possible.
Now, executive orders signed by Biden will establish a COVID-19 testing board to ramp up testing. Vaccine supply shortfalls will also be addressed. It will also establish protocols for international travelers and direct resources to the hard-hit minority communities. It also requires mask wearing in airports and on certain public transportation, including many trains, airplanes and intercity buses. Now, according to the plan, the administration will expand vaccine manufacturing and the power to purchase more vaccines. This will be done by fully leveraging contract authorities, including the Defense Production Act. Biden will also be directing the Federal Emergency Management Agency to reimburse states to cover fully the costs associated with the National Guard-related efforts to battle the virus. Meanwhile, the top U.S. infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, has warned that coronavirus infections may be about to hit a bit of a plateau in the United States. Dr. Fauci has said that President Joe Biden's plan to speed up the COVID-19 inoculations improves on the Trump administration's fallout.
However, when you look more recently at the 7-day average of cases, remember, we were going between 300,000 and 400,000 and 200,000 and 300,000. Right now, it looks like it might actually be plateauing.
Now, COVID-19, remember, has spiraled out of control for several months in the United States, even with a massive vaccination campaign underway. The virus has claimed over 405,000 lives and has infected more than 24 million people in the United States, which is the highest anywhere in the world. All right, now to give us more perspective as to how Joe Biden is going about and putting out measures to try and rein in the COVID-19 pandemic, we're joined in by our correspondent Jagrati Dave. She's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Jagrati, we saw a whole set of executive orders that have been issued by Joe Biden in trying to contain the COVID-19 pandemic. Tell us more how this has been received within the United States.
Well, I think this was expected. Joe Biden has talked so much in his campaign when he was running in the race to be president, and since in every speech he's given, he has mentioned the coronavirus pandemic. So we knew that this was going to be front and center of anything that Joe Biden did. And even on, just hours after his inauguration and hours after becoming president, he went into the Oval Office and signed executive orders, one of those which was having a mask mandate and physical distancing on federal property. So, these are wide-ranging. They they involve travel. So it's there's executive orders that he signed today, 10 of them. They include travellers coming into the United States. They have to prove they've had a negative COVID test. They have to do quarantining according to the rules as well. There's executive orders looking to speed up vaccination development, the production of personal protective equipment, looking at where there are shortfalls, and if so, where there are shortfalls, seeing how the federal government can invoke, or seeing how Joe Biden can invoke the Defense Production Act. This is something that President Trump did when it came to fast-tracking vaccine development and distribution. So, in that sense, there's some mirroring of what Donald Trump has done, but there's a lot which is different, which one of the main thing is this sort of federal coordination, this centralized response. His plan, his 200-page plan, is called the national response, and that is something that I think many people wanted Donald Trump to do, but that he resisted, leaving it to saying that it was the responsibility of states to coordinate their own responses because the situations in different states were so different. Joe Biden has taken a different approach. He is taking a more national approach, and he is having the federal government coordinating with states on their own responses.
Absolutely, indeed. Now, the president, of course, was very open in conceding that things will actually get worse before they get better. Now, for people who are looking at what is happening within the United States, which has witnessed and recorded the highest number of infections, what baffles is the issue with the mask. Now, Joe Biden has issued an executive order for a mask mandate, but this applies only on federal properties and for federal employees. Why can there not be a simple health guideline for pretty much the entire nation saying that it is compulsory to wear a mask when people step out in public?
Well, there are questions of whether that is constitutionally viable. So it's unclear legally whether the president has that authority to issue a mandate to individual states. That seems to be up to the governors of those individual states to implement those mandates. And in fact, some Republican governors, in some Republican states where it seemed that mask wearing was seen as more of a political issue, something that was done by the left or people or Democrats or, that sort of an attitude. Even Republican governors have, some of them have U-turned on if they had resistance, have U-turned, and some Republican governors have disregarded that sort of politicization and have issued mask mandates in their own states because they recognize that the state of the virus in their own patch is too large to ignore, and they have to do something like invoking a mask mandate to ensure the cases stay down, to ensure that hospitals are not overburdened and that they are not, as a state, facing a crisis. So, Joe Biden is setting the example that he can from with the powers that he has. Right. But I think there has been some movement in this idea of mask mandates by governors in their own states.
Co-presented by Skoda. Simply clever.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.